Hello, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, George, I think that we're live finally. He can be taught. Um, I got to tell you something, George. Last week, which I was mentioning right before we got on, I just went from being a lifetime PC user to getting a Macintosh computer. My old computer blew up, and everybody's telling me, well, you just got to go Mac. And it's been a nightmare. Are you a Mac guy?
I kind of in between. I had a Mac, and then for a lot of the applications stuff that I've used with real estate, it was just simpler for the PC.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a learning curve for sure.
It sure is, man. So, guys, George, generally the way it is with all these interviews and stuff, and we're just starting this series. Realtors kind of wander in, and sometimes builders too, and builders and others in the ecosystem, as we go. Guys, if you're new here today, welcome. If this is the first time that you've been on one of these broadcasts, I used to do these all the time, and right now we're just starting today with the man himself, with George Kokoris. We're starting back a new series that I'm calling Home Building Pros. So we're going to do an interview series every Wednesday at noon, if I can get my Mac figured out. And it was my fault. It wasn't George's fault. So let me just start there. Okay. Um, so with that, guys, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I want to, first of all, George, you already got a fan here. You know this guy?
Yeah, Mr. Tom Papadakis. Of course, I do. He's a great guy. Do a lot of good business with him. He uh, he was in new home sales for quite a long time, and he went back to general real estate to actually help guide all those people. How's it going, Tom? Great seeing you.
All right. So, guys, I want to introduce to you today a gentleman by the name of George Kokoris. George and I have, kind of tracked each other for the last few years. Um, and just recently, I don't know, maybe a few months ago, we finally connected and got a chance to talk. And George has such a fascinating story. And I knew that I was going to be starting this interview series. And I thought, you know what, this would be a perfect way to start. And so, just to kind of set this up and share with you what we're going to be talking about today. And by the way, before I jump into this here, let me show you guys. If you are not on StreamYard yet, okay, here is a link you can go to in the little scrolly thing below. StreamYard.com/Facebook, and just click OK on that, and then you'll be able to comment in the interviews. Because we're going to be doing interviews every week today and going forward, and you'll be able to comment, and people know who you are. So uh, just like this man, Tom Dak. So be like Tom, hardest working man. Tom, are you talking about George or yourself? Because I'm not sure what the message was there, but a couple months ago, George and I started talking, and George came from a background of having been a realtor. Years, George.
I was in real estate as a real estate agent, a realtor, since 2018, April 2018. Previously to that, I was a mortgage broker from 2001 to 2007.
Wow.
So I had a good because I saw the crash coming. I saw some things happening in the market. I study not just the economical factors that contribute to the market, but the jobs report, what's going on in our hyper local area, what are driving forces into my hyper local area, Central Florida. Um, uh, all the indicators that show what's going to happen, as much as we have a crystal ball. And I tend to try to educate people and let them know, like, hey, this is what I see coming down the pike. I look at the economists. I take all that information and kind of try to inform people of what to kind of expect. So it's not so much a doomsdayer type thing. I don't believe in the doomsday. I think even in down times, there's opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, guys, from so George was he started in mortgage, went to became a realtor for several years, specialized in new construction, and he's the type of realtor that that really does well with new construction because he dives deep, just like Mr. Popadak does too. You know, we've got some great realtors in this group, George, that really are tuned into residential new construction, and then to make matters a little bit more complex, George decided to switch teams, and he left being a realtor and became. Do you call yourself a sales rep or a builder rep, or what's your title there?
New home consultant.
New
Uh,
home consultant.
because that's exactly what I do. I consult with people and see if what we have in our product line is going to be a fit for them. We're not a fit for everybody, but we are a fit for most.
Okay.
Very simple.
So George left being a realtor and went to work for a big production builder, big national builder that you all know and love, Lennar, and he's down in Central Florida. What specific market are you in, George? Right around.
The it's considered the Orlando division. We're actually where my territory is Polk County. So from the Davenport area all the way down into Lake Wales, Winter Haven, and everything in between, Haines City, Eagle Lake, all of these areas. There's about 6 communities that we have currently. Futuristically, we have about 7 more coming. So there's some massive growth in this particular area. That Lennar is digging deep into Polk County, and it's actually the fastest growing county in the state of Florida currently.
Wow.
So,
Wow. And it's going to be growing faster because Cindy and I are going to be moving down that way too soon. So, and we'll be building when we do. So, but we've got a lot of work to do this year right now. But so George is down in Polk County, and Mr. Popadak says George and I sold a new Lennar home in Winter Haven, Florida. So that's kind of cool. That's really awesome. So George, let's get into this a little bit. You know, when we were talking, one of the things that was really interesting to me that you said was, you know, we got to talking about a realtor. You specialized in new construction, and then you switched sides. You went to work. You left being a realtor, went to work for Lennar as a new home consultant. And one of the things that you said that really kind of caught my attention was, you know, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but it was something to the effect of, you know, realtors don't always present as well within new construction as what I believed they did when I was a realtor. Do you remember saying that?
I do.
Something to that effect, you know, that, you know, you believe because you were diving deep into the topic and you were learning the metrics and you're learning the market and you're learning all the nuance and the process and all the things that there are to learn. And then you became new homes consultant, and all of a sudden now the realtors are approaching you.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you a very unique perspective in my mind, you know, that you've been on that side, now you're on this side. And tell us a little bit about that. What was that transition like, George, when you switched over to the builder side?
So I'm a little bit different. I was a different realtor, different person. I dove deep when I became an agent into a lot of education. Had 10 designation certifications. I spent over 1,000 hours extra educating. I had a lot of people tell me like, well, that's just a waste of time. You should just be out there looking for business. And I never felt that way because I believe the more you educate yourself, now you have more tools in your tool belt in order to be able to best help the client. And that's always been my number one objective is how do I best help this buyer or seller? I want to make sure that I'm giving them great information and that, I'm not ever steering somebody in a wrong direction. So I was a little bit different. And you're right, I did. I dove deep into new construction when I first became an agent. I was in Apollo Beach area. There was just a ton of new construction in that Ruskin, Waimama area in Tampa Bay. And I didn't know squat about it. I was like totally clueless. So I learned about the build process. I learned the differences between the builders and all these differences. And what I realized is when I get a client that's a buyer and thinking to purchase, because there's so much of this and their incentives, that I needed to be able to, in an intelligent manner, explain all these things, bring them to the correct builder. So if they're looking for a semi-custom home or a spec build home or a full-on custom home, I want to be able to explain the differences between those builders, those price points, the experience they're going to have with them. So when we got there, we were in tune to that particular builder. They had a certain expectation. So I always feel that building that proper expectation coming in is very important. Makes me look good. It makes the builder rep look good, in the essence of we're there for that specific product. We're not looking for a full custom build and we're going to a spec builder, which is just a waste of time and a little bit frustrating, I feel, for the buyer. So I kind of did that stuff a little different. And when I switched sides, I have a very, very strong work ethic, and I know a lot of people do. But I did realize that, because now I'm seeing mass amounts of agents and other businesses.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
Right, go ahead. I don't know. Phone's ringing. Told you I'm not used to the Mac here.
that's all right. But when I started getting on the other side, I realized that not all agents came in prepared. They were kind of treating new construction like they are resale. So they're just bringing them in, setting appointments, or maybe not setting appointments. We're just going to stop in, and just like a regular showing. And so I realized that there needs to be some more education there for those newer agents, or those agents that don't specialize in new construction, to understand that you don't treat them the same. You want to, if at all possible, you want to schedule ahead of time. So this way, when you're coming through that door, you're getting, you were expected. You're getting the VIP treatment there from whoever that rep is, or at least you should be. And, now that rep has carved out, because it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to properly go over a whole presentation of, showing the home and explaining about the company and digging down and finding out what the customer's needs are. And that's, of course, the main focus there. And a lot of times I see them doing some things that are counterproductive to helping that client, and of course hurting their own sale.
I recently, just in the last few days here, I really started to kind of gravitate towards this idea of, really just keeps cropping up in my head, that when you move from being a used home salesperson to a new home realtor, and I'm going to start using those terms. I think we all should. Okay. Used homes realtor. I'm a new homes realtor. Okay. And because there very definitely is, if there wasn't before, there is now. There are realtors that are really starting to dive deep and learn new construction. And it is a vastly different experience for the buyers, process for the buyers, vastly different experience for the realtor as well. And one of the things, George, that a term that keeps popping up to me is concierge versus clerk. And I'm not saying that to demean anybody that's doing general real estate sales, but when it comes to selling a pre-owned home or used home, right? We can go to the MLS and we can click, 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 and pull up, here's 37 houses that meet your criteria. Let's get them qualified and let's be on the, go out and start looking at houses. But when it comes to new construction, it really is very different, right? Because now it's about which builder, first of all, which neighborhood is best suited for this person, which builder, which type of builder, are they best suited for a production, a master plan community, or for a semi custom home, or for a custom home, or it's all different. But it's much more like being a matchmaker, right? Than just here's 37 houses. Let's go look at them and get you signed up.
It really is. Because essentially, I like to understand where the person comes from. One of the first questions I ask anybody is, tell me a little bit about your journey. All right, because have they been looking 6 months? Have they been looking a year, 2 years, 2 days, first day? Because they're in different mindsets, right? If someone's been looking for a year and a half and missing deal after deal or opportunity after opportunity, thinking that there's always something better coming down the pike. And they've been actually disappointed at that for that length of time because the prices continue to increase. And, if they've been lucky to pick the perfect times where the rates happen to have did a little dip and then the incentives matched it as well. They're a little bit more frustrated and possibly need a little bit more being stringent and honest, brutal honest. It's like, hey, what are you waiting for? So sometimes they need that little push. And then the people who just started, you don't want to do that. You want to kind of like say, have you thought about the area? Have you driven around the area? What specifically are you looking for? And make sure that we're in the right area, in the right community for them. Do they want a community that has amenities, which has extra costs that we call down here CDDs to the community? Or do you want a community that only doesn't have any pools or any amenities? We just need a house, low HOA, because we're looking really more price sensitive and payment sensitive. So everybody's got a little bit of a different need. Some people want to be closer to their work. Some don't mind if they drive. So really digging out all that information in their discovery is super, super important.
So it really gives the realtor a chance to be much more of a fiduciary, I think, in new construction. And it's, I wouldn't say it's more difficult. It's just, it places the onus upon us as realtors. I'm not a realtor now, but I was for many years when I started in new construction. But it really gives us a responsibility that, hey, I have a responsibility if I'm going to specialize in new construction to go learn the builders, learn the neighborhoods, learn the amenities, and know the differences between one and another. Because with new construction, guys, and if you're listening in right now, or if you listen in later, you need to know this, that for a new construction buyer, it is a life experience. We've interviewed, and I know, George, you've probably done more than I have, but we've interviewed hundreds of buyers who have built or going through the process of building and buying a new home. And they talk about it like, when I got married, didn't know what to expect. When we had our first child, brought him home, didn't know what to expect. So it's a lot of fear factor. But what were some of the things, George, that you saw? So you switched sides. You went from, and who were you with as a realtor, by the way? Which brokerage?
The last brokerage I was with was EXP. I was with a few of different brokerages who I actually went to for each brokerage I got something different out of. There was not commission splits or anything really that had to do with that. It was more who was I be able to get mentored from, who was going to be able to be free flowing with that information to help make me a better agent.
Yeah.
That's where my concern always was.
Yeah, and that's that varies from office to office and region to region, doesn't it? But so then you switched over to Lennar.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what you saw. Are you
Mm-hmm.
having an audio problem?
Sounds good.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
How about now?
That's perfect.
That's terrible.
So
I'm getting a little bit of an echo. So tell me about what you saw when you started working with Realtor. What is it the realtors doing right or not doing right when it comes to new construction?
Again, I think a lot of agents come in with the best of intentions. Don't get me wrong. Most of them, the ones that really kind of do it right, they already have built the relationships with the builder, with that builder rep. Maybe it's like me, a person who can do multiple communities. There are still builders who, those reps only can do one at a time. And that's a little bit more challenging, to get to know 10 different reps in 10 different communities for sure. But, they'll come in, they'll call ahead, they'll get information to see if it's a good fit for their client. They'll set an appointment with dedicated time, And obviously we're not there to rush anybody, because that's probably the worst thing you can do for the buyer is to rush them. Relatively, we can find out early on if we're a good fit. If they come in and they're looking at the homes and they're getting excited and showing like a lot of interest, that's really key. If they're totally disinterested or like, yeah, it's okay, then you go to that next appointment. You just don't want to rush that process. So the seasoned agents, I'll say, in new construction, they they know how to kind of finesse that and prepare the people prior to getting to. Whereas more of the newer agents, they come in and some of the first things they ask for: what's your price, what's your incentive, uh, and a lot of times, what's your commission? And really, if I don't have the right home and I don't have the right community, it doesn't matter what the price is, and it sure doesn't matter what the incentive is. And that's, I'm more so, with those, I'm more interested in the buyer or the client at that time. Like, hey, what are their needs? Do I even have that? If I don't, well, then we're not going to be a good fit. But I think if we tell people, of course, what the prices is very important, and that moves around still to this day all the time. So, it's up, it's down, depending on that seller's needs. And that's where people don't understand. They think of builders as just these big companies. Okay. And it doesn't matter if it's a big company or small company, they're still individual sellers. They're just selling a lot more homes than one. Okay. So, they have to profit, they have to make money in order to stay solvent, to keep things going. And there are bottom lines that they can't go under. And then of course with inventory, or not inventory, but the cost of supplies that continue to rise and cost of labor that continues to rise. It's kind of interesting that coming into a builder, I learned a bunch of stuff, and I'm still learning. That a home that was built and was ready today actually costs less than that same home that's going to be built and ready in 6 months.
Say that again. A home that's built today,
That's done and ready today,
already ready to go.
ready to go, costs less to build than the one that's going to be built in 6 months, even though it's the same home.
Makes sense.
Costs continue to rise. So, and as you see in multiple areas through the country, we do see prices still continue to rise. I only study Florida, and I know we got 2 months worth of inventory on the resale market. We're seeing that squeeze. I talk to realtors all the time, and they're telling me that on the resale market, we're seeing inventory tighten up because, let's face it, all those people that have 3% mortgages, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you
So,
hear? Speaking of inventory, did you hear Lawrence Yun just came out a couple of weeks ago, the NAR economist, and said that new construction moving forward is going to be 20 to 30% of inventory. So just, everything is moving towards new construction. I mean, it really is just an incredible time for realtors to jump into new construction and start to learn it. Let me catch up here. Mr. Popadak says Polk County is fastest growing in Florida, and George creates and distributes excellent digital materials on a weekly basis to his realtors. There you go, guys. Here's a great resource. George, you need to bring those digital content into the New Home Niche Blueprint group for everybody to see as well. So would love for us to share them in there. But one of the things I've seen, George, with from my experience,
Mhm.
and you're seeing a lot more. You're standing in a different set of shoes than I am, but it seems to me that most realtors don't really fully understand or haven't engaged with new construction. Vast majority have not. Maybe they do one every other year. Maybe they do one every 3 years. Maybe they do one every year, but the numbers are very slim of realtors that are out there really going after new construction, saying, I want to own this. And because they are not real, they don't have a lot of knowledge or experience. They don't feel confident really in new construction. I see two things. I want to get your feedback on this. I don't know if we talked about this before, but I see realtors that either they come into the new home process, and one, they feel like it's their job to hammer you down, not you, but Lennar, the builder, let's say, and I'm going to negotiate hard on your behalf, buyer. We're going to get you this, that, and the other thing. So there's that vantage point. You might see something different. Or it's like they swing the opposite end of the spectrum sometimes, where it's just like, I don't know anything about it. I'm just going to register this person and I'll see you at the closing table. And you
Yeah.
tell me, you let me know if I need to show up for anything. Is that right? Is that a right perspective? Do you see much of that where realtors are going one direction or another? Because it seems like to me, George, that there's like a fine line that the realtor in new construction, our job is a mediary. Yes, you represent the buyer. Yes, you represent the buyer and you're fiduciary to them, but it's also building a bridge and not walls. Does that make sense, or is that true from your experience?
No, that's absolutely. Again, it's those people who are not don't quite understand that uh, that's synergy between the builder rep and the. So I just want to make this very clear. I am a fan of realtors. I was a realtor. I know what they go through, and I know that it's not easy. So I know the cost per lead because I paid it. Okay, I understand that for some agents it's really tough out there right now. And so what I try to do is I partner with them. I call my realtor partners because that's exactly how I feel about it. Um, so when an agent who has never worked with me before and calls with me, I try to help them as much as possible understand how it's best to work with each other. So when they come in and they try and hammer down, what they're trying to do is show that they're trying to show some value to their client. And that what they don't understand is that's not how you actually show value to your client. Ratcheting down and trying to get the price lower, because I'm the first one to say, look, this doesn't say George Builder, right? It says Lennar or whoever it is that I work for. If that price is able to go lower, I'm absolutely going to make it go lower, and do the best I can for the buyer as well as the company. And to be honest, the company prices these homes right out of the gate, like on fire, like trying to give their best foot forward. But when they're giving these incentives, there's a cost to it. Okay, so if they're buying down interest rates, and I can only speak for Lennar because I've only worked for Lennar, but I have sold on the other side with every builder. Okay, but Lennar spends a ton of money, just a ton of money buying down those interest rates. When you hear interest rate buy down, what I want you to imagine is the builder is actually spending anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 per buyer to buy that interest rate down. And I know we're able to lock deals out 6 months. Not many, actually, none of the builders that I've seen, and there may be some out there. So this is just basically what I've seen. Do not have the ability to lock 6 months out. So again, understanding how to work with that builder in a synergetic way makes you look better to your buyer, because they're like, this person's done this before, they've been through this experience before, and they feel more confident. When there's instant kind of bashing, in the combativeness, that does not serve the buyer. And that's what I think some people don't, they kind of miss that. Like it's just like on resale. I don't want to go and smack the whether it's a seller agent or buy agent like in the head and get combative. That's not going to serve my purpose for my buyer, because that realtor is not going to pick my buyer, right? So what I used to do is I would call them. How are you doing? I hope you're having a good day. Tell me how I can make this better for your seller, because I wanted my buyer to buy that home, and you kind of have to, it's the same thing. And like Mr. Tom Papadakis, I work with him. I talk with him. We've had deals come together. We've had deals not come together. And in all honesty, if it's in the best interest of the client to go somewhere else, by all means, they should do that. But if it's a good fit and we work well together and we can make this a seamless process. And I tell people, I even try to help them with the mortgage side, which is not really my side. There's people that handle that, but I say, if you have a hard time, give me a call. I'll help you with it. And try and smooth some things out, because even that side gets a little convoluted at times. Right. So it's the whole concierge, like you said, that whole concierge of beginning to end. I keep everybody informed. I send them pictures biweekly or every 3 weeks, of the home. So if you find a rep that's doing all of that for you, that is a partner, and that's how you want to treat them, not like an adversary. So, usually when you come in for that adversarial point, you're doing disservice to your buyer.
Oh my gosh, George, you like dropping gold here. I hope you guys are taking some notes. I know I am. So I've got several different things that you've said here that are going to be really helpful. So Mr. Popadak says, Tom Popadak would say, only 10% of realtors know, learn, and understand or sell new home construction. I think you're being generous, Tom, to be honest, but maybe it is in your market. I don't see that many, but so what is the best way then, George, when a realtor comes and visits you for the first time? Let's say they're a new realtor, okay, or let's say they're new to new construction and they're new to Lennar. What are the best questions or the best approach that they should be taking with you to begin to establish that partner type of relationship? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So usually when I meet, I again, being where they were, I ask, what level of experience do they have with new construction. Some have had like 1 or 2 deals, but maybe they had a bad experience. This is always interesting because I feel that, especially in new construction, and I don't care who the builder is, if you have a good relationship with the new home consultant and there's good communication is key to all this. And the construction manager is good and there's good communication between the new home consultant and construction manager, you're going to have a good experience. Okay. If, like you kind of said earlier, if you just go and you show up and the person buys a home and they go under contract and no one talks to each other to the very end, and then at the end you find out, well, it got pushed out, pulled in, this happened, that happened, the other thing happened, and you're going to wind up with a really annoyed buyer. They're going to be very unhappy, very frustrated, and simply the solution was communication. Always. I could, like, if a home gets pushed out a month, I could be like, hey, and I know we were expected to be done in 2 months, but it got pushed out a month. It got pushed out because the cabinets didn't come in, or this didn't come in, or that didn't happen. So this is why we're doing it. So when I actually talk to a person in the beginning, I let them know that we don't guarantee dates because of the way things are being delivered with the supply chain and labor and whatnot. So again, setting the correct expectation. And so if we need to come up with a plan A, B, and C as to, they're moving, we have that conversation up front. So it's really, really important. It's not a resale where you got 30, 45 days. I had a customer this weekend. I got to be in a home by July 15th. That's what they said to me. And I said, okay, the closest home I have is this one. It's July 24th. It looks on track. Every, countertops are there. So now we're dealing with kind of finishing touches. So it looks about right. And then well, I need it to be the 15th. And people don't realize when you talk new construction, depending on your area, there's not sitting inventory. And if there is, you don't get the option or the luxury to be picky of house, location, community, or any of that if you need a house now. Okay. If you want to live where you want to live and all that, then you're going to have to buy resale at that point if you're looking at a 30-day time period and we don't have that inventory. And I know in our area, in our market, I have a bunch of homes like in the next, I'll say 30 to 45 days. But if you're looking sooner, then you either got to get really lucky or go buy a resale really quick. Right. So But
One
yeah,
thing that strikes me with what you're saying too, that I hope you guys are picking up on. And by the way, if you're getting some ideas here, I would love for you, because I see that there's some folks listening. I would love for you to just drop it in the comments. Some of the things that George has said. He wants to partner with realtors. He wants to find realtors that he can partner with. And guys, I'm preaching this to realtors all the time, George, where I'm telling them, stop thinking about the transaction, start thinking about the relationship. Stop focusing on the listing, start thinking about learning, understand the builder. Stop thinking and acting like a clerk and be more like a concierge or matchmaker. But one of the things that you've said that is interesting to me, you just listed off a lot of things about communication and how did you put that? Setting the correct expectations, um, understanding the customer, setting a time in advance. There's a lot of good things that you said there. One of the things that's interesting is none of that, as far as I can tell, says that a realtor needs to be a part of a big team or or have a big marketing budget in order to win a quality relationship with George and others like George. Is that true?
that's true. You don't have inventory? I do. You can market my stuff. You can come in, show my models, take a video of it, put it up on Facebook. You can do all that. And I tell people every day, every week, because every week I send a email out to my realtor, and I send it to them with not just my inventory in my area, my region, but the whole Orlando division. So even if they have a buyer somewhere else, and I can't sell that home, I have a new home consultant that I personally know in that area that's going to give the same quality service I do, and I will refer you to them so that you don't have to wait for an 800 number or anything. I also send a map of where these communities are located. So if you saw Cascades, you're like, I don't know where Cascades. I'm going to send you a map, and you're going to see exactly where Cascades is in relation to geographically. And then I also do a bomb video, and I put that on there with some tips or something maybe I saw that week that maybe someone could have done better, or some marketing ideas or some sort of help, because that I'm here to help. I look, there's no blue book. Like, there's no book here. You're a realtor. Here you go, man. This is what you got to do. You'll be successful. The book is figuring it out, and not everybody shares information. And when I came in, I saw that. So I feel there's enough business for everybody in the world, and that what I give out is going to come back to me 10 times, right? So I'm going to share all my knowledge. I don't hide anything on how I do anything. And if somebody else becomes successful for it, that makes me very, very happy. Okay. It, I don't go to the way of, oh yeah, I had to figure it out. You do too.
Yeah,
If I can cut a year or two off your learning curve, man,
that's it.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
That's it. Hey, we had a great question here, and a great question, Petra. So, how do we create relationships to gain unrepresented sellers? I think she means buyers. Are you saying buyers, unrepresented buyers? Do you have a realtor pool? Is it based on a number of sales in your subdivision? So I think, and clarify, Patra, if I'm hearing it the wrong way, but I was getting ready to ask you something similar, and that is, George, you always hear that new home consultants have like a VIP list of realtors they want to work with, and you said it too. I want to partner with. What does that partnering look like to you? What's the value that you want to get? What's the value that the buyers that the realtor can gain by partnering with you? And so more to Patrick's question is, do you ever have I think she's saying a buyer that is not working with somebody? Is that correct? Is that how you're reading it, George? Yeah.
Well, let's see. How do we create gain unrepresented
Oh,
home?
okay, I get it. I misunderstood. So you got a buyer that comes in and they're going to buy from you, and they don't have a listing agent. They've got a house to sell. Do you ever refer those out, and how would that work if you did?
That I have to. obviously be careful. I work for a company, right?
Right.
So what I do is if somebody asks me, "Hey George, I need to sell. Do you have some realtors?" I will give them a couple realtors that have I've seen that I've met that I feel are, so again, my personal preference of not because I like them, because I honestly just go by if they're doing if I see they do a good job with the people, and then I would just give a list of three, interview them, see who you get along with, because everybody's got a different personality, and go from there. But I don't honestly get asked to that too much. A lot of times, the realtor who is listing the home is already got them coming in. Uh, I don't get as many with homes to sell as you would think, and if they are, it's a lot of times it's from out of the area. So like
Mm.
they're like you. They're coming from another state. They're coming from New York. They're coming from Illinois. They're coming from California, and then after about a day or two trying to figure it out themselves, they usually get a realtor to help guide them.
But to my question, I mean, you definitely have a VIP list. You create a list of realtors that are your preferred partners, right? And and you've shared with us a little bit about what you look for in those people. Um, Tell us a little bit more about what that looks like. Is that something where the realtor is going to stay in touch with you once a month, or periodically, or what's the best way to what? Go ahead.
I I I, I get in touch with them. So I want everyone to think. So when you're on this side of the table, right? My client is the realtor too, right?
Right.
So as I try to call my realtors. That there's probably about 25 of them that I'll call. Try to at least once or twice a month. Hey, how you doing? How's everything going for you? I'm not asking them if they have business for me. I just want to see how things are going in their life. If there's anything in the world that I can do to help them. Just see how they're doing. Like, we're people at the end of the day, and I think sometimes that gets forgotten. We have things going on in our lives and things like that. So when I'm building a relationship with somebody, that's what, like, hey, how's your family doing? Haven't heard from you in like 2 weeks. Is everything okay? That kind of conversation. Business comes and business goes. I'm not worried so much about that, but that I reach out to them. They sometimes reach out to me, but it's more me reaching out to them. Um, just like you would a buyer, or you're prospecting. I prospect realtors just as much as I prospect other buyers in the area.
Right. So, guys, I tell you what, there's some really valuable perspective that George is sharing with you here. That and one of the things we saw, George, we were at the. Do you go to the IBS at all, the International Builder Show? We were.
I did not this year. I would
We
next year. That's on my list.
Yeah, we missed it this year. We did. We last when we went to was down in Orlando a year ago. Last year, and one of the things we saw, this was really interesting. My wife and I walked through the whole show, and it's just a massive, massive builder show, biggest builder show in the world, and we didn't see any realtors present. Now I know there were realtors in the crowd, but we did not see like Coldwell Banker, KW, Remax, Century 21, anybody representing their brand or brokerage in this whole thing, except in every single event that we went to, every networking event, every class we went, every single one, there was a conversation at some point where somebody was saying, and these are the builders saying, how do we connect better with the realtors? How do we find a realtor that knows new construction? How do I partner with realtors? And this is something that I think realtors completely miss, is that they are the client too. And you want to build that type of relationship, but you want realtors that represent well and that you can work with easily, right?
So yeah, I agree. How I would like to, and these are some things that I'm actually working on. I've connected with another agent. His name's David Cribbs. He does some really good classes for realtors. He is a realtor. If you guys are going to classes, make sure that these people are actually in the industry and practicing today. They're actually still selling homes. Um, he's definitely one of them. He's going to do a class, how to work with a builder, and actually make that part of your tool belt, because he himself was just like Tom. He was in new construction, and then he went to general. And yeah, I've seen a lot of that where people did new construction for a while and then go the other way, and then there's people like me who flip the other way. Um, and then it's totally different. So like when I was a realtor, uh, would go in and be like, man, it must be really cool. Like, as people come to you, you don't have to go to them and stuff like that. And then the there's a give though, right? You gotta work weekends, like every weekend, right? And holidays and all that stuff. And then the people on the inside, at the new construction, they're like, man, it must be really nice. You can get weekends off. You can take off whenever you want. And I work both sides, and I still work 7 days a week. So I don't know what the heck either side's really talking about. Uh, uh, I tell you, there's a few people I follow that give really solid advice, and there's a lot of really good people out there. Joe Rosen, he's on the East Coast. Alex Haig. These guys are masters. They've been in the business for quite a while. They help educate other people as well. Ryan Gimbel, I follow him. I've not had the honor to meeting this man. He's been in new construction for Meritage over in Colorado. He does nothing but drop awesome bombs and nuggets of information. So, I mean, I would just try to get and soak up as much information from people who are successful as you can, and you just get one little piece. I mean, there's a gentleman in Lennar, the Orlando division. He's a top producer. His name's Carlos. He's a great man. He's a very generous man, and I love when he speaks sometimes in our big meetings, because I can grab always one little piece of information. And, that's what it's all about. It's not always about that 2 hour seminar. Sometimes it's about that 2 minute nugget that you pull out of that seminar that you could put into action.
Yeah.
And that's where success happens, where you not just obtain the information, but put it into action. And that's where equals success.
Yeah.
And that was, God, it took me a long time to really figure that out.
Well, I appreciate that, George. Well, you're gonna have to connect me up with these folks, and we'll see if we can get them in and interview all of them here because I'm sure everybody's got a little bit different perspective. Hey, Justine, welcome. Patra, welcome. Glad that you guys are here. Justine is in Florida. Justine, I don't know if you're still on. Where are you in Florida? I don't recall. And are you in George's market? So, George, I want to ask you a favor. If there's a way that you can share your digital distribution, all the research that you're doing, your digital material, would love for you to share that with all the realtors in the New Home Niche Blueprint group. And by the way, guys, George is in the New Home Niche Blueprint group. If you're seeing this, we're being broadcast today out to YouTube and on Facebook and other places. If you're in the New Home Niche Blueprint group, you can connect with George there. Is that the best place for people to connect with you, George, on Facebook or?
Facebook's a good one. Honestly, I don't always pay attention to my messenger. So at best, probably just to email directly or text me or call me, whatever, however you want to be, because I'll be able to share all that information. Usually what I do is just email is usually the best way.
Cool. All right. So we're coming to the top of the hour here, George, and this has been very, very helpful. You shared some great insights. Let me ask you, one, what was the one thing that was the biggest shocker or surprise to you? If there's an insider tip that realtors generally don't know, and maybe you've already shared it, if there's one thing that realtors, if they understood this, they would do such a better job at working with new construction and building those type of relationships. Is there any specific insider tip? Oh, also a Facebook user, not sure who it is, asked for you to share your email. George, maybe we can put that up here someplace. you want me to put it in here?
Yeah, put it in there for me.
Okay.
Let's see. So tip tip is I would honestly take time, go out to the new construction, builders, understand your difference between your spec builders and your uh, you know, uh, semi, excuse me, my brain just stopped, but custom builders and then your full custom. Understand the differences between that. See what each builder's kind of given, and that you're going to also build relationships. So relationships is the key to real estate, whether you're in new construction, resale, commercial, no matter what. This is a belly to belly business always. So build your relationships. This way, when you have those good relationships, people want to help you. You know what I mean? So I would study, kind of like learn in your general area what new construction is. What I used to do is I don't care who the buyer was, I would say we're going to go look at some new construction, and they'd be like, okay, or hey, no, yeah, George, I'm really not interested in new construction. Awesome, let's rule it out. Let's go. Let's make 100% sure. Let's get that right out of the way, because you're going to show them the new homes, and then you don't have to worry about them wandering in there without you after church on Sunday. And then they tell you about how they bought a house on Monday, and you're like, what happened? What just happened to me? Okay. And I don't want you to blame that new home person. I want you to blame yourself, because you did not do that due diligence. You need to add that to your process. So when you go out and you're taking them and you've already told them, like, hey, let's go check out this new construction, even if it's not something that's on your plate, and you add that to your tool belt, okay? And then if it's ruled out, awesome. Now you're straight up looking for resales, and you got to dig in on that. And if it's not, and new construction now is becoming like, hey, okay, now that's the direction we're going in. Well, you can do it faster that way, and you're not spending 6 months taking people all over the place. At the end of the day, it is your job to get them under contract, not just the busy work. So we don't want to focus on the busy work, which is actually what we consider the fun stuff, seeing the houses, taking them around. We want to get them under contract as quick as possible, so they're not losing out on homes going up in price, or even the fact of, well, we just sold out this community, and maybe that was the perfect community for them, and there's nothing in resale, or the resale numbers are higher. So these things all make a difference, especially right now, because with buying down the interest rates and stuff. I know we're offering interest rates in that upper 4-5% area. I'm myself buying a resale home because there's a specific home that I like, and I'm getting quoted 7.5% interest rate. Okay. So that's a massive, massive difference. And I'm going to have to be like one of them people that when things come down, I'm going to be refining. It's just real simple. But if there was an option for me in my price point, then I sure as heck would be going with a builder so they can pay for it, not me.
Yeah.
So,
Love that. So, George, I think your email address is gkokoris1@gmail.com, correct?
that is correct.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, I'm going to put that out there. And one other thing that you mentioned that, and we'll kind of wrap up on this, that I thought was really interesting is incentives. Every once in a while, you remember you were telling me, I get something, and for one reason or another, we got to move this house, we got to move this neighborhood, we got to finish this street. Talk about that for a second, because realtors a lot of times are not aware of the opportunity and the urgency that happens along with that.
So when this happens, scenarios have come where a home may have come back from the market. Management says we need to sell this. There's a big sense of urgency. I have to have this sold by this week. Now we have 50 new home consultants trying to market that home and sell it. Okay, because whether you're in resale or not, or in new construction, you're still a marketer. Okay. And what I do is I reach out to my top 25 and I say, hey, got this great deal. This is what they're doing with the price. This is what they're doing with the commission. This is what they're doing with the incentive. Do you have a buyer that fits this, whatever, 4-bedroom home in this area? If so, I got a quick move in home, an investor, whoever. So when you have that relationship, you're going to get that information quicker than you would if you're just waiting for, the builder to email the whole world or put it up on Facebook or the MLS. So those people get a little bit quicker, which is, again, the benefit of having that relationship. Um, but there is a something that people don't understand. They think they have all the time in the world to make a decision. So when these things come up, and I give you a great example, when I was showing a home this weekend, person again, that was the same person who was looking for a quicker moving home, and while we were in it, somebody else sold it. Okay, and then we get a text, and because we have a text thread, and I'm like, okay, well, this home is now sold.
Yeah.
And so when a new home consultant reaches out to you, tell you they have this great deal, this great home, there's a big urgency. If buyer's like, well, yeah, I'll look at it next week, cool, just totally forget that. They're probably not getting it. That home's gonna get sold in like 2 days. It's gone.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of urgency, and a lot of incentives and things like that are tied to it. And some people they don't quite get it. They just think they have all the time in the world. So I guess it would tell you, if you have that relationship and someone says, hey, man, I have this weekend to get this thing sold. If you have a buyer, let me know. And you go, well, my people are, I'm not going to work this weekend, or, I can't get a hold of them this weekend. Then don't even tell that person, because you're just going to aggravate them, because that thing's going to be gone before you know it.
Yeah. I love that. And I'll tell you what, guys, there's some tremendous words of wisdom that George has shared with us here today. You've seen his email down here below, gkokoris1@gmail.com. And if you're in Florida, if you've got somebody that's looking to move to Florida, definitely connect with George. He was a former realtor, and he's super, super realtor friendly, and wants to see you succeed. He in my opinion, is the epitome of new home consultants, that really want to have a partner type of relationship with you, which is why I brought him on today to start this series. And so, George, thank you so much for everything that you shared here today. Absolutely tremendous. I know that some of these folks are going to be reaching out to you and having more questions. By the way, if some of you are watching this on LinkedIn or on YouTube or someplace else on Facebook, this is the address for our new home niche blueprint group. Would love for you to join there. George is in the group, and a lot of other really top-notch sales consultants, new home sales consultants and builders, as well as new home mortgage people. Join over there and be a part of the conversation. Next week, we're going to be doing this again with a different conversation that I'll announce tomorrow. And George, man, this was amazing. Thank you. Are you actually, you're not sitting in a new construction home, are you?
No, I'm sitting at home. I actually took the day off today, and I'm getting ready to go to a hotel for a weekend, because I tend to work too much. But I want to thank you very much, Ron, for having me on. It's absolutely an honor to be on here. I've been a follower for a long time and love the content and information that you put out. And if you guys are trying to learn about how to work with new construction, following Ron and working with him is just amazing. So thank you very much. I'm completely honored by even being on here.
Likewise, brother. Love it. So I'm so glad we connected. Well, listen, have a great weekend, George. And you have to tell me where you're headed, or where you went and how it went, because we're looking to head back down to Florida soon ourselves. So I assume you're staying in Florida, yeah?
Are you? Oh yeah, we're on staycations. I'm going to the Hard Rock.
I know. Pop deck all the time. He's always sending me pictures of the golf course in the middle of the winter. You Floridians. All right, dude. Thank you so much. God bless. Have an amazing weekend. And everybody, I'll catch you next Wednesday. We'll talk to you later, George.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.